Hello everybody, and welcome to week 4 of your 6-week publicity challenge. So this week is all about press releases, the scary bits that actually isn't quite so scary. So we're going to break it down with you. Now, as you can see, we are joined by a lovely guest who's been working with Media Matchmaker for quite a few years now, Amanda Donnells-Bewley, and she's one of our PR partners. You've seen her in some of the lives that we've done before and some of the PR training. So Amanda's joined us because she runs a PR agency and she does her own PR as well. And so it's always good, isn't it, to speak to an expert on these topics. And as I've said to you, and you probably know, this is the bit that scares me as a business owner. I'm dyslexic, and I don't know, I hide behind that, but it just frightens the living daylights out of me. So it's better to bring an expert in that's, can talk, from their experience on behalf of their clients and also behalf of themselves. Thanks, Amanda, for coming on board with this bit.
You're welcome. It's nice to see everybody. Don't be scared. Don't be scared is what I'm going to say.
No, it's just having the confidence, isn't it? A lot of everything we're teaching everybody is having the confidence, but it's this emotional connection. So it is about the content that they put in the press release, but there's also there is a formula, should I say, that you should follow. Now, if you Google press release templates, you will find loads of them, and you will also see a press release template in Media Matchmaker Club so that you can download and use. And we will ask Amanda to kind of look at that and just give us her comments. But is the press release still valid, Amanda? Is it dead? Because I've interviewed other journalists. Is the press release dead, or is it still used, and is it still the preferred way that journalists can get to find new stories?
Yes and yes. I mean, I've just sent some press releases this week, sent some last week. I think it's, excuse me, where it used to be the be-all and end-all. Now it's just one of the tools to get your stories in front of journalists. So it's one of the ways, because social media has sort of come in and given people much more immediate contact. But actually, businesses still use press releases, and it's when you write them and they're effective, you can get coverage. Like I say, I still use them on a weekly basis with some of my clients.
And I think that's the thing, and we'll dive into that in a bit. It's making it effective, isn't it? And it's making that emotional connection, and so what the journalists want out of it. So do you, I know the answer to this because obviously we've chatted before. Do you follow a formula now? I know you've been doing it for a long time, press releases, so you probably know it in your sleep, how to kind of what the journalists are looking for. What's the formula that you follow? What guidelines or tips can you offer us?
Yeah, so I talk a lot, and if anybody's met me, they'll know that. So excuse me, for me, it's about condensing everything down. So no subjective sort of like flowery language. You're just trying to get those points across. So do I use a template? I don't necessarily use a template, but I do use a formula. So I always start off with what's it about, the date, the where, the when, the how in the first sentence, and then I expand on that in the first paragraph. Then I use a quote, then I use maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs of background or supporting evidence or supporting information, and then end with a quote as well. And then I always use the notes at the bottom of the page, what we call a boilerplate, to put down supporting information. So you might use that space to talk about a biog of an individual or a business, or to cite research that you've used, or if it's a press release about several different organisations or partnerships, you could put all the different components and all the different stakeholders information in the notes section. So you're trying to keep it short and pithy, and get your point across, because and I'm sure you've already covered this, journalists just you've got less than sort of 20 seconds really to catch their imagination. So yes, I suppose I'd still do use a formula, but like I say, probably do it in my sleep now anyway.
So we've got an example. Perhaps I can show you the template we use, the formula, just to give like a guidance, because you kind of, like you say, you just do it in your sleep now, and everybody that's watching this, the first few ones, you know, you'll overanalyze it, you look at it, and then as you get, it's like writing blogs, isn't it? As you get into it a little bit more, it becomes more comfortable. And the most important thing is the content, isn't it? You know,
it is the content. Yeah, and I would say to just sort of touch on that very quickly before it sort of goes out my head. Headlines. I never write the headline until I've finished, and this was something that about 20 years ago, journalists that I worked with a lot on a local newspaper said, it will just come, your headline will come out of your copy. Now, some people are really set up, they can get their headlines and they're really sort of snappy, they get them straight away. Other people like me, sometimes it just takes a little bit more, and just get started, get all your content down, refine that, and then your headline will come if that's something that you're struggling with.
You know, that's brilliant. And there is like there's headline generators out there. Well, I think we've got one in the club that you can access, that can help you with it. But that again is the most important thing, isn't it? To, you know, but what you don't want it to be is it they call it clickbait, do they? You don't want it to be too I can't get my words out today. Sensationalized, really, or do you want it? What's the best approach with? Because obviously it's the subject box that's, like you say, you've got a few seconds to grab their attention for them to open the email in the first place. So I know it sounds a really basic thing, but in the subject box, do you put press release and then the subject you do, rather than just launch?
I put subject. I put press release, and then I put the headline that I'm using. Because your headline is your attention grabber. If it's a really long headline, you're going to have to condense that down. But yes, I do put that as a press release in there. One of the other things that is really worth mentioning is not to put your press release as an attachment. Write your press release and then cut and paste it into the body of your email. I mean, obviously, if you've got photos, you're going to be attaching those anyway, but it just makes it easier for journalists to use that copy. They can literally just cut and paste it right out of the email.
What do you do with things like, I've interviewed before a regional editor for newspapers, and what she said was, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, give the permission for them to edit however they want. Where do you stand on that in terms, I know, again, a little bit off piece, but, you know, obviously people want the story to be interpreted in the way they've written the press release, but what happens then in terms of it hits the journalists? What are the chances that the journalist would just lift it and use that piece, or would they then call and write it further or investigate it further?
I think that obviously journalists are very short on time. They've got really tight turnaround now. It's not like it used to be when, you know, your deadline was on a Tuesday for print on Thursday, and they've got time to sort of like interview people, ring you up or whatever. You know, they're turning things around almost immediately. I've sent press releases in the morning and seen them online in the afternoon. So you've got to be able to know that they're going to, you know, that press release is something that is ready for them to go. I think making sure they've got all the information, so using the notes section as well to give them any supporting information, so they can cut and paste the facts that, you know, the information that they want to put in, and maybe turn some of your content the other way around or write it in a particular way. But photos and quotes, make sure that you've given permissions for those.
And in terms of, you know, how many words would you write typically in a press release? I mean, we've talked previously about mirroring kind of your media outlets. So if it's a business to business journal, you know, and the articles, you know, 600-700 words, maybe mirroring it and looking at how technical it is in terms of, you know, but like you say, if it's a consumer piece, you know, in layman's terms, make sure it's not too complicated, it's simplified. If it's a regional piece, you put some regional angle into it. So is there any guidelines in terms of typically how long you write your press release and how many words that you use?
I always try and stick to what the equivalent of one page of A4, because I always feel that if a journalist is interested in your story, they'll come back to you. Having said that, if it's B2B or a more academic piece, so maybe you are reporting on some research or a product, a really innovative product that is going to change people's lives, and you've got research behind that, yeah, go for longer. You can be more technical. If it's B2C, then yeah, you don't want jargon, and you don't want technical stuff unless that's the audience that you're going to. So yeah, really, when you're writing your stuff, make sure that you're reflecting the audience that you want to reach, basically.
Brilliant. Well, let's have a look at the examples, and then what we'll do is, once we've gone through the examples, we'll just come back to then content, if that's okay. Because you know, we've talked a lot before. So a lot of people, when they're writing a press release, will write it as an advert, and you know, there's no emotional connection. It's just they just want to promote what they're doing. So it's just understanding that a little bit. But let me just screen share with you guys so we can dive into this. So this is our press release template. Can you see this, Amanda?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, so this is kind of what we give them guidelines of. So can you just talk us through this? I suppose this is just saying whether it's for immediate release and whether it's embargoed, so you want them to hold off on it. I'm always very careful to share with everybody, if you put embargoed on it, that's fine, but they won't always listen to that, will they?
They won't always listen to that. No, they won't. I think it depends. You know, if you're working with a journalist, you know them really, really well. I think, you know, you can say, okay, Susan, I've got this thing coming up. It would be, you know, I really don't want it released before X date, and this is why. But yeah, I would
just go with caution with it.
Yeah, I would be really cautionary.
Yeah, and some people use it almost as a stunt, because they put it on and then they're hoping that it will get. So you know, obviously you can put for immediate release, or if obviously you want it to, you know, wait for another week or so, you can put it on there, but always do it with the view that it might get published.
Yeah. To be fair, do you know what? I never even put for immediate release, because I think the moment I press that send button, it's, you know, it's like it's fair game. So yeah, perfect. I want it to go out straight away.
Great. So, and then we'll have a look at yours. So it's not too important, but the most important thing, isn't it, is the headline, the press release headline.
Yeah. I would also say, don't forget to say where it comes from, because obviously I'm sending press releases on behalf of lots of clients. So some people include their logo in there, or they might put a little sort of note at the top. Oh, hi Susan, this is our latest press release. You know, I hope you find the story interesting, etc. So yeah, you might want to just put a little bit before the headline, but basically, yeah, you're going in with that headline there. And we've said that it's got to be short, pithy. It's got to really sort of like catch people's attention.
Brilliant. Okay, and then obviously this is what we've put, is obviously the press release summary. This is where you're kind of just getting to the point, aren't you? Very succinctly, very to the point, like you said, the what, why, when, where, who kind of thing. How do we write it? If, let's say, someone's writing about their experience as a business owner, what tense are they writing it in? Is it the third person? How are they writing it?
Yeah, you're definitely writing in the third person. And because of what, going back to what we just said before, journalists are really, they push for time. They want something that they can look at and go, right, okay, yeah, I can run that story straight away. And so, yeah, they don't want to be going through it and changing all the tenses, making sure that it's, you know, they just want to go, right, okay, yeah, that's a great story. I'm putting it, it in a piece. So, yeah.
And then the body is obviously where you can expand the story a little bit more. And then obviously we've got the press release quotes. So you put the quotes in with the story.
Yeah. So I always put I always have an introductory, that first, the press release summary, the where's, the why's, the where, you know, the 5 W's, obviously put right in that front paragraph. And then I have my quote, and then I put sort of more content after that. But yeah, I mean, you put here, try and make try and make your quotes more interesting than "we are delighted," "we are pleased," "we are thrilled." Try and find some other words. Quite often what we're doing in those quotes is conveying more information about so for instance, if you've got an event coming up, you're putting more information in about the event that's not appeared in that first paragraph. So it might be who you want to come, including everybody, maybe talking about some of the stakeholders that you want at the event, for instance. So yeah, always use that second paragraph to convey more information.
And does the quote have to be from you, or can it be other people's quotes as well, maybe case study quotes or something like that?
Could be case study quotes. So if you're doing a piece about somebody's story, so I don't know, let's just say research shows that 20% of men like to buy their other halves chocolates on Valentine's Day, and it might be that the quote is from Mr. Smith from local area says, "Yes, I've always bought my wife chocolates on that day." So yeah, you can use somebody else's quote.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
And then your final points, obviously, is that really your call to action in your final points, or what's the final points about, and do you use that yourself?
Yeah, I always end with a quote, so it's sort of a bit of a wrap up and a call to action. You know, Mrs. Smith says, "I'm always delighted to do X, Y, and Z, and I would encourage all husbands across the land to buy their wives chocolates." Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, it is a wrap up, and you can have that call to action. You know, if you've got an event, yeah, we want to see everybody coming, everybody's welcome, or yeah, definitely.
Brilliant.
And then, so just to go to this ends and notes to editor. So everything from the headline down to ends, everything is fair game there for you journalists to cut and paste. That is your press release. That's what you're saying. Ends, the word end or ends marks the end of your press release. Everything under that is like additional material and information for the editor or the journalist. So you might include it in there, your contact details. Now, you might not want them to be in the press release, you might not want them to be sort of open for the public to read, but you put them after the word ends, and that is your contact to the journalist, that whoever is named there. So it might be phone number, email, whatever. And if you're going to put somebody as a contact, make sure that person is available to be contacted. You know, don't put your MD, if your MD's away for 3 weeks in the Middle East or something. Do you know what I mean? You need to have, when that press release goes out, that person needs to be available.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and obviously,
yeah.
and you can put your bio there as well, can't you? You know, a little bit more details about you and stuff like that.
Yeah, and sort of information about the business, you know, sort of background information, that if a journalist wants to make the piece longer, that's where they can sort of find more background information. I think now journalists will go to people's websites.
Yeah.
But if you've got several stakeholders involved in your press release, that's a good place. Also, just on there, I'm not sure, does it have photo captions?
No, it doesn't actually. Do you put that?
I always put my photo captions. So if you're supplying some photos or images where it says notes to editors, you can put photo captions in. So that's where you put your permissions, you know. It's also, make sure everybody's named according to your sort of policy. So obviously, if you've got kids on there, you know, you can only give first names, or maybe not even do that. It depends on what your policies are, but that would be the place where you supply information about the photo.
And obviously, if you're using photos from other people, you need to get permission to be able to use those. So, yeah.
That's a whole other
yes
whole other day.
It's important to mention, you know, as part of that. Okay, so that's that one. So let's look at the one you've done as well. Just having a look at this. this is a press release that you'd written. Now, you're not sharing your clients because obviously it's confidential, even though it's public knowledge, it's just, you know, it's easy to use your own kind of press release. So this is a business that you have, and this is typically a press release. So just talk us through then, you know, this press release. Let's just
which I basically sent in the morning, was online in the afternoon.
Oh wow, okay. So where did you send this to? So who was this targeted to, Amanda?
Okay, this was some bunting workshops that I was doing. So this was for people in the local vicinity, you know, sort of people who want to travel to craft workshop. So it's in our local publication, the Ilkley Gazette, but that's obviously, it's like a part of a group, so it actually went into 3 different papers locally and online. And basically Claire is absolutely fantastic. I send her stuff and it's normally online in the afternoon with a photo.
And that's great, because like you say, then a press release isn't just going into print, it's going online. So some, you know, regionals now have the online version as well, so then they'll just use it on both, and
it will go on their social media feeds as well.
Brilliant.
So talking you through this, okay, so eco-friendly Ilkley business launches bunting workshops. If you didn't read anything else in that press release, you would know that my bunting business is eco-friendly, I'm sustainable, I'm doing good in the world, I'm based in Ilkley, and I'm running some workshops. And that is basically what I wanted to say. So it's all there. So if for some bizarre reason the rest of the sort of press release went missing, you know, that's the point, basically.
So that's your headline.
My headline.
And this is your headline summary.
Yeah. So that tells you what I'm doing. So it's expanding on that. So again, it gives my name, where I'm based, and what it is I'm doing, and who I'm wanting to reach. So, you know, I'm giving people the opportunity to make their own party decorations. So what it's about. So it's expanding on that. And then in the next bit, I've got the date, etc. I probably would have run that all into one paragraph. That's quite interesting that I put it in 2, but yeah. So those, they reflect what's in the headline.
Chief bunting maker, love it. So then this is your quotes coming up.
Yeah. So the quote is what I'm trying to achieve. And sort of just, I wanted people to understand the ethos behind the business, but also, you know, make the workshop sound really attractive.
Sorry, yeah. I turned it off. How unprofessional. Sorry, guys, about that. It's my dad's birthday today, so forgive me because that's my sister. Anyway, carry on. Sorry about that.
So in that quote, I'm reaching out to people as the business owner, and sort of making that invitation to come to the event more personal. So yeah, that's that bit. Then if you scroll down a bit.
Yeah. Just before we do that, I've noticed here you've got this highlighted here.
I think it's just because I probably took that out. I don't know.
Oh right, okay. So that's fine. So you
could
would highlight a piece within the press release.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's cool. Okay.
So the next bit are a bit of background.
Yeah.
About the business. So why is it environmentally friendly? How did it start? What else do I do? So I do other projects. I've put another little quote in there, but then because it's launching some workshops, you'll see that the actual workshops are listed there. And then I end with a quote.
Brilliant. Fantastic. And then absolutely and then obviously your call to action.
Yeah. And I haven't got an ends on there or some notes. I'm really sorry.
No, that's okay, because you would have added that as you sent it out. This is obviously the document that you wanted to share with, which does help. You know, And we've got other examples that you can access, and I'll put them all down below. We've interviewed other journalists, we've got other examples for you, but it's just good to hear it live, you know, for someone that's talked about it, but also that got results from it. You know, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, what are the mistakes that people have done before, or that people make when they're writing press releases, would you say, Amanda?
And this is a big one, and I am going to hold my hand up here, because in the 25 years I've been doing this, maybe more, I have done this. Not checking your dates and your facts, so putting the wrong date in, or like if you're doing an event, or just getting that sort of thing wrong, or forgetting to put a time and a date. In fact, I did this last week. I sent a press release out about an event. I got the date, I got where it was, when it was. On the date, I forgot to put the time.
So
like journalists came straight back and went, what time is it?
This is why it's good for other people to read it, isn't it, I think, and get other people to read a press release. Have you got any kind of tips on kind of copy proofreading or anything like that? I remember journalists telling me once, or
say that again, you just broke up there.
Sorry, the connection is a little bit slow. So is there any tips on copy reading or proofing it before you send it off? I had a journalist say read it backwards sometimes, so that you can just read the words, because sometimes we're so close to our own story and we're typing away or writing really quickly, we don't spot the obvious things, like you say, some things are missed out, or some typos or tenses are wrong.
Yeah, I am also dyslexic, and I use the read aloud function on my just on my computer. It's brilliant. It saved me very many times. Clearly not last week, but that is fantastic. So if you know that you have some sort of, that's not your skill, I would say use anything like that you can. So the read aloud function is absolutely brilliant.
I didn't even know that existed. So you can just highlight your copy and click read aloud, can you?
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant, because you realise then that something you've written doesn't quite make sense. If you work with somebody and you've got a really good working relationship, but they're not within your business, maybe they would help you. It is always worth getting an extra pair of eyes on stuff. Definitely.
Or, you know, as I've said before, and I've shared before, buddy up with people, create a mastermind group that you're in kind of similar industry sectors, because you can share your contacts as well. You know, you're non-competitive, but you're there to support each other, and you can maybe have a pact where you just all read each other's press releases or marketing material, however, you know.
Yeah, I think unless you're writing for a very technical audience, I would say if you have a teenager, if they can understand what you've written and get the gist of it, then that's going to work. That's a massive generalization, but unless you're writing technical copy, actually you want to make your copy as accessible as possible. So no, don't use jargon unless that's the audience you're writing for. Make your sentences shorter. Like if you're like me, like, well, we talk a lot, don't we? So, you know, try and be succinct with what you're writing. So yeah.
And that's a good tip to take away. But also, don't forget, if you're really struggling or you just want some help with your first few press releases, Amanda's available, and we have put PR people. So, you know, I'll put her connections below that she might be able to help you with, because she has her own private clients and that. So it might be that it's a one-off, or you might want to work with Amanda. But these are great tips. Thank you. That we can just apply from a PR point of view. Have I missed anything out? I think it's giving it a go, isn't it? Really, and not being scared.
For me, it's don't be scared. Everybody started somewhere. If you have got complete utter mental block about what you're doing, get up from your desk, go for a walk, come back, and then my biggest thing that I do when I get stuck, I use an egg timer, or like a kitchen timer. I set for half an hour and just like get everything down on the page, just get it all down, and then edit afterwards. Because so many times you just get a complete and utter blank. You know, it's just like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what I'm doing. Just write it and then edit afterwards.
Brilliant.
Give them my
Thank
biggest
you.
tip.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for your time. We really appreciate it. And obviously, you know, there's templates, as I say, that you can access. I'll put the links below for you. There's other interviews that you can listen to as well. But I think, you know, just get on with it. I think that is, and just take a little bit, be brave, write it down, but just remember the points that we've done. Amanda, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for helping us.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it. And I'm sure we will see you soon on future lives. Take care. Thank you.
Okay. See you. Bye.
You guys have a good
Bye.
week, by the way, before we end this off. You'll have your worksheets where you can, you know, find everything, fill it all out, but just have a go at your press releases. You know, feel free to have a go and submit them in the group so we can see them, you know, and have a look. So, but just get access to it. And I look forward to seeing you on next week's 6-week publicity challenge, and we can take things even further for you. See you all soon. Take care.